Hello everyone, this is Remlays from 40k Theories, and welcome to the September 2022 edition of the Patreon Q&A sessions. As always, if you would like your questions answered, then click the link in the video description below and help support the channel by becoming a patron. Now, let's jump into the questions. Voice of the Emperor asks, in the last church there's a battle in the lands of Frank called Gedweary. Where is that in our time? I have absolutely no idea. I'll be honest, I know little in regards to French geography, so to be honest, your best bet is asking a French person if it has any similarities to any of the regions in France, but there's also a possibility that Gedweary as a region doesn't actually exist yet. Like, it could be a city or a province that was created sometime after the Age of Strife. You know, when France became Frank, for instance, so it could be anything like that. So yeah, take your pick really. Yeah, I don't know. Did the Emperor strip the Lamenter's luck from them and give it to Caiaphas Cain instead? I sincerely doubt it, to be honest. I think in regards to the bad luck of the Lamenters, it's mainly just coincidence and literally just bad luck. Brent Feast asks, would Abaddon be technically considered an Ever-Chosen? I'll be honest, my fantasy lore knowledge is lacking in comparison to my 40k stuff, so I'm probably going to be wrong about this, so don't jump on me in the comments. But from my understanding, to be Ever-Chosen, you need to be specifically crowned as Ever-Chosen. As in, like, Bellacor has to put a crown on your head saying, there you are, the Ever-Chosen, and I hate my life because I've been cursed to crown the Ever-Chosen forever and ever as punishment for trying to usurp the Chaos Gods. So unless Bellacor has actually crowned Abaddon as Ever-Chosen, no. Why do you think GW didn't bring Undivided Demon Princes back for 40k in the new Chaos Space Marine Codex, even though they recently did so for Age of Sigmar in the new Slaves to Darkness rules that came out before that? Aren't Undivided Demon Princes in the new Chaos Demons Codex? I might need someone to check that, but I'm pretty sure they're in the new Demon Codex. At least, you know, I might be wrong, but I swear they are. Will 40k Bellacor ever matter in the lore? Probably not, no. To be honest, the only thing of note he actually did in 40k was the invasion of the Phalanx during the Gathering Storm arc, wasn't it? You know, aside from that, I don't think he's actually done anything of note. So no, probably not. Brandon A asks, female Space Marine talk is still on the rise. If Black Library goes as far as to say they are canon, would you like the Little Sisters of Purification to return? I mean, Games Workshop is not above, you know, mentioning fan works in some of their stuff, as well as mentioning really old stuff. I mean, let's be honest, you know, Malice is in itself a reference to Malau, who can't actually be used because the original creator owns the rights, so Malice is their equivalent. So I can see Games Workshop, you know, referencing old fan works like that. If they do make female Space Marines a thing, I can see them making the Sisters of Purification a chapter, potentially, if they do bring them in. Yeah, I can see it happening, potentially. How would you wish for them to return, if ever? To be honest, I'm not entirely sure how you would go about bringing back the Sisters of Purification, because something like that, it probably would need, you know, a big story from a competent writer, you know, for people to accept it. I mean, there's going to be some people who won't accept it regardless, because some people are just like that. You know, there are still people who don't accept Primaris Marines, for example. So, if you are going to make female Space Marines a thing, give the lore side of things to someone who, you know, is actually a good writer and knows what they're doing. That's what I'd say. If a Xenos race hates chaos and actually tries to destroy whoever deals in it, would they find some common ground to fight alongside humanity? What, you mean like the Eldari? Because they're a race who hate chaos and are not above fighting alongside humanity, so the Eldari. Baronium asks, could Call have been the one to push for what ultimately led to the Cursed founding? It's a bit of fanon that always intrigued me. Like, I do like the idea. Like, you know, Call was experimenting on, you know, Firstborn to make them into Primaris or whatever. So I like the idea that the Curseborn are like a stepping stone into getting to Primaris. I do like that idea. Whether GW goes down that route is a different issue, but I do like the idea personally. Does the Tau Empire have an emperor? Not strictly, no. The closest thing you have is the Ethereal Supreme, and even then he's less of an emperor and more like a pope. I suppose in a way it's kind of like the British Empire in a way, because, you know, the British Empire didn't have an emperor. You know, we had kings and queens. So I suppose it's like that in that regard. Pentadeuce asks, what are your thoughts on a new human faction separate to the Imperium or Chaos? To be honest, the closest thing you're going to get to that really in this day and age is probably the Leagues of Votan, and they're differentiated from the Imperium by virtue of being an abhuman race. If you mean something like the Interrex, for example, I don't see how you're going to go about implementing a brand new human tabletop faction, to be honest. You know, not without making them extremely different from the Imperium in some drastic ways. And to be honest, you know, would people really want another human faction? Because there's so many other races in lore that don't have tabletop representation. You know, guys like the Torellians, the Loxatl, you know, the Slan, you know, they don't have representation on tabletop, so I feel there'll be people who want them to have armies first rather than making a brand new human faction. Griffin of Might asks, can astropaths be corrupted by chaos, or does being soul-linked to the Emperor prevent that? I'm not entirely sure, to be honest. I don't think the forces of chaos make use of astropaths like the Imperium does. I think they just use, like, you know, sorcerers and scrying for that kind of thing. You'll need to look into that. That's quite interesting, actually, yeah. What would have happened if Vulcan had accepted the request to run the Imperium during the War of the Beast? I think that's something that deserves a video of its own one day. A-Dog asks, if you could align the Imperium with any one Xenos race, which one would it be? To be honest, probably the Eldari by virtue of that, let's be honest, they have the least amount of reasons to fight one another. You know, all things considered. They share a common foe in the forces of chaos, you know. They both view the Orcs as being, you know, pest control duty, that kind of thing, so the Eldari make the most sense, personally. Charlie Mink asks, what would you do for a Klondike Bar? What the hell's a Klondike Bar? Is this some American candy I'm too British to understand? Do you think Eldred Allfriend should be in an episode of Hoarders? Considering how he's described in... was it Ghost Warrior or Wild Rider? It was one of the two. Considering how his chambers were described, probably yes. What is your favourite militant order of the Adeptus Sororitas? The Order of the Bloody Rose. Because they're badasses. Let's be honest, they are. Zero Hits asks, apart from cyberhounds, are there any other cyberized animals that the Mechanicus or the Imperium at large makes use of? There are various types of cybernetic bird. On Necromunda, for instance, there are shade birds, which are basically like cyborg crows and starlings and that kind of thing. The Space Wolves make use of cyber ravens as familiars. I think Njal Stormcaller has one. And Tor Commander Cotiers has a cyberized two-headed eagle. So yeah, birds. And I'm pretty sure the Mechanicus also makes use of cyberized horses, but I'm not sure if they're actually cyborgs or just robots. You know, I need to double check that. And finally, Richard Martin asks, are cats and dogs still around? Yes, they are. Dogs are more commonly seen than cats, because you see things like Cybermastiffs and Cyberhounds and that kind of thing. The Elucidar Starstriders from Kill Team, I think that's how you pronounce their name. One of the models for that kit is a, well, it looks like a Doberman. Or is it a Rottweiler? No, it's Doberman because it has the longest snout. As for cats, there is one mentioned in the second edition's Codex Imperialis in the short story Kelmon. It's an Eldari Farseer who has his own cat, though I suppose for this edition that would be retconned to a Gyrinx rather than a regular cat. But there is reference to cats, so yes, dogs and cats are still around. Do we know how the Demon Primarchs reacted to Big Bobby G coming back from the dead? Yes, it was mentioned. It was various reactions of, what the fuck, are you serious? Jesus fucking Christ, that kind of thing. I don't know the exact reactions on the top of my head, but it was varying degrees of that. What are Vulco weapons exactly? From what I understand, it's Dark Age of technology tech that is, in layman's terms, a heat ray. You know, it's not a laser because it's a powerful heat beam rather than a laser, so basically it's just a superpowered heat ray, essentially. It's more complicated than that, but that's the basic gist of it. And that concludes this edition of the Patreon Q&A sessions. As always, if you would like your questions answered, then click the link in the video description below and help support the channel by becoming a patron. Until next time, this has been Remlays from 40k Theories, and we'll see you again soon. Bye bye!